Hello, welcome to OnEBoardHome series. Today we are with our guest, Ms. Barbara Drasby. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Thank you to all who are watching us. Some of us know you several years already, but for those of us and our audience who don't know you, would you please give us a short introduction?
Certainly. I'm Barbara Drasby. On Twitter, I'm known as Ms Drasby. A lot of people know me because I used to give tips about using technology in education. Um, and then I have other people who know me online through Facebook and through Twitter and Instagram for the artist side of me. So I'm sort of a jack of all trades, but a pro at none.
I know it will be a very interesting conversation. It's so much that you are covering. Thank you, Barbara Drasby. And today our moderator is Bob. Bob, the stage is yours.
Okay. Again, welcome, Barbara. The eBoard group of Peggy, Monica, Nina, and I were really excited to hear your takes and feedbacks on some questions we've got lined up for you. And I guess to get you going, let's ask you a nice softball question. You basically talked about your social media platforms. We're talking Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, YouTube, Pinterest. Is one in particular the most important to you?
At one time, yes. When I was first starting out as a Google for Education trainer and sharing advice on technology, Twitter was my go-to and the one that I used professionally. However, nowadays, being retired, I don't have one specific social media that I use because I'm just kind of going with the flow of things and figuring out what I want to do with social media now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think most of us have the similar strategy in which we're trying to figure out what works best for not only you, but your audience. So I know Peggy has some good follow-up questions. Peggy, would you like to ask Barbara some questions?
Thank you, Bob. Yes, thank you for joining us, Barbara. What I'm interested in knowing is how you decide what to post on what platform. I know you're, on various platforms and you have a blog. How do you decide when to post more personal things and when do you post more professional things, and do you try and balance those?
Well, because of how I have my social media broken down, when I get the whim to do a professional post, I reach out to my Twitter handle. If it's about education, obviously I go to the education one. If it's about art, I go to the art one. The only social media that I do publicly where I really share all about me is my Instagram. And I fell into Instagram a little bit later than I did, let's say, a Facebook page or Twitter. And I'm just kind of experimenting to see what giving a taste of all of me is like to the public.
I think that that's a really interesting way to approach it. And I think it's something I struggle with myself, trying to decide what platforms are me and what platforms are me plus, sort of technical information. And I think it sounds like maybe you're figuring it out along with the rest of us.
Yeah, I'm just, riding that road, and it's bringing me to my solutions, hopefully.
So my second question is more along the technical side. Your background is in education and helping integrate technology with integrate technology with education. And so what I'm wondering is there a specific product or service or tool that you think is underrated or overlooked by educators that you would recommend?
Well, I'm going to say that since the whole COVID thing and schools going remote, I kind of lost a connection with education at that point. So I can't really say if there is a specific tool. But prior to COVID, I would say that the Google editors, such as Slides and Docs, aren't really being used to their maximum potential. They're not being applied for the collaboration piece as much as just replacing worksheets.
I think that that's an interesting point where online tools sometimes don't get their special features used. Instead, they just are like a one-to-one replacement for what teachers are using offline, you know, for paper things.
Exactly. And it really makes it harder on the student, especially I would say probably the remote student, because it takes a lot more time to watch a video or do the research to answer every question on that worksheet, you know, where it could be done in a different way.
Interesting. So it's like a whole different way of teaching. You have to think about teaching in a different way.
Using technology, you definitely have to think about teaching in a different way. And I would say teachers, for the most part, have not embraced that because they're more or less what they call the sage on a stage. So they believe they should be the center when it should really be the student who's the center.
Thank you. That's really interesting. I know Monica has some questions for you now.
Yes, thank you, Peggy. And it's great to talk to you, Barbara, now. As I know you have turned your life into retirement. So what has changed? What I mean is, what did you think of when you are retired, and what could you establish in your retirement?
That's really an interesting question. So initially I was going to retire at the end of this school year, but due to COVID, I decided to retire earlier because I have some underlying risks. And my initial thoughts about retirement is you retire to enjoy life. So I'm kind of rolling with the flow. You know, first focus I'm trying to put is to enjoy life. And I don't know, as far as like making money, if that's really what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking more I'd like to support and help people. And how am I going to go about that? And how am I going to pull together everything I'd like to do that? So, you know, for me, it's just, again, kind of traveling on that roadway and
Yeah,
where it takes me.
I can feel this very well. I'm on the same road, kind of. Yes, what do you think of the tools of collaboration? I mean, you mentioned they are not very often used at school and for its extent, but what do you think? Is it a benefit or is it more like a burden?
For someone like me, I see it as a benefit. Again, you know, I have unusual tech skills for someone my age, and I believe that, you know, the technology tools for collaboration make stronger bonds with the people that you work with and the people that you collaborate with on other levels. I mean, even during COVID, it has strengthened family relationships and friend relationships, seeing that we couldn't go into each other's homes. I've probably seen my family, well, some of my family members, some of my cousins I hardly see. I see them now more than I did in person.
Ah, that's
So,
interesting.
yeah, I totally believe in the tools of technology for collaboration. We just need to get everybody else there using it.
Yes, yes. So, yeah, the enthusiasm we feel about the technical tools should spread a little more in our families. That's true.
They should.
Yeah.
I think we need to help people to learn how to apply them for their own success and
Yeah.
for their own needs.
Thank you, Barbara. I think Nina has some more questions for you. It's over to you. It's your stage, Nina. Please Nina, please unmute you.
Well, I was wondering how our moderator is feeling. Maybe Bob, are you satisfied with the conversation so far? Because we have rolling one after one, and would you wish to ask something in between? Just wondering if you would ask some questions in between, since you are the moderator. It's been a long conversation so far. No, okay, thank you. So, Barbara, you've been awarded by Google multiple times, and I've been even present to some of the ceremonies. It's been a great pleasure. And recently I stumbled on the most updated announcement about Google professional certificates, quoting you. So, how do you feel with this support and achievement? Does it help you with transitioning to your new next projects?
I've always been honored by the support, I mean, of such a big technology company. It's very flattering, very unexpected, because I don't think what I do is anything unusual. You know, and I do things from the heart because I want to do it. As far as for planned projects, I don't have any real planned projects, but of course, it's beneficial if I decide to continue with technology to have these awards. Yeah, from such a great company. And I have a question for you. I have not seen the link for the certificate. I was told about it by Google, and I know they tweeted it to me, but I couldn't find the quote piece.
I will send it to you with greatest pleasure. It was on Facebook stories.
Okay.
So it had an enormous visibility. I can guarantee you this, because yes, what I do, I follow Google, how they use themselves, the technology for their own brand. So it was pretty interesting that Google are doing Facebook stories and you are in the center of the quote first. So yeah, I will send the screenshot too.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
of course.
you.
And
yes.
yeah, I'm sure you can, it's giving a great self-confidence being acknowledged.
It definitely has boosted my self-confidence. There was a while where I was challenged because of my skills. It's harder when you're an older person and you have tech skills to be accepted. So yeah, having this huge tech company support me is like, it blows my mind, so to speak.
Yes,
and it has boosted my esteem. And I don't know what I'm doing. I just say how I feel, and they just seem to like it.
Yeah, I think I'm eager to to watch or to listen to your podcast because you have a beautiful voice. I'm not flattering, where you just show what you're doing because you are doing extraordinary things. But to you, it seems like natural. Well, if we allow us to see, it's pretty extraordinary. But I hope you invite us to watch such on your YouTube or when you produce this piece of content, we will be glad to see. And my second question is about our OnEBoard event. You joined us for the commitment 2021 and you committed to contentment. So I'm curious, how does it unfold so far for the 3 months?
It actually really aligns very well with my life, because starting out retirement in such an unusual circumstance, during a pandemic, has really made me think about life and the things that I want. And I'm finding that I'm extremely content, just waking up every day and doing the things that I enjoy. So yeah, I'm off to a very good start with contentment.
That's very
nice.
That's fulfilling to hear, and for our group too, because when we commit, we don't know what's going to happen during the year. So we kind of support with this commitment. Thank you so much. And Bob has some closing questions himself. Bob, to you.
Yeah, hey, Barbara, good answer so far. Just, it's nice to hear from you. You're really a good person. And I'm going to have to deviate here and go back into the jungle of theory. So with your professional background in education, what subject matter lends itself to online learning, or are all somewhat adaptable to internet-based lessons?
I think that they're all adaptable to internet-based lessons. Again, it goes to how they're applied. I don't think when we're using internet and technology that we should just hone in on one subject. They should be able to integrate more than one subject into their plans. And if they do that, it's a lot easier to teach using technology. And I think the students then would be getting practical, skills that they need.
Yeah. And in fact, I think we would all agree that a holistic education is far better than one that's basically siloed, or that is just, where there isn't any connection between math, science, history, civics, blah, blah, blah. In fact, this kind of leads into my second question. I don't know if you're aware, but John Dewey was considered the father of modern education, at least here in the US. And he wrote about technological developments in a democracy. And this is around 1908, I believe. And this is what he said: persons do not become a society by living in physical proximity any more than a man ceases to be socially influenced by being so many feet or miles removed from others. So do you think that that's still true today?
So I found it an interesting quote to sort of pick apart and decipher due to perception.
Mm-hmm.
So society is generally based on people within, with a common cause in a population. However, I do agree that with technology and being able to globally connect with people, that society really has that opportunity to expand upon beyond the physical proximity of where we live.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what I guess I'm getting to is that, You know, the world is physically the same size, but it's becoming smaller every day. I mean, because look at the people that we have on our panel right now. Nina's from Bulgaria, Monica's from Germany, and oh my God, Peggy's from California.
Well, that's straight across the state for me. You know, East Coast,
Well,
West Coast.
So it seems to me that Dewey was really prescient about this. The idea that, you know, we for sure we have countries that we belong to, but I think increasingly we have to think of ourselves as all members of the Society of Earth, because the challenges that we face are not bound by our boundaries. And you could pick out any topic right now. I think there's a lot in the news, and that seriously, the internet is maybe the common denominator for all of us to learn, not only about new things, but about the old things of you know, where we're from, what our culture is, and it seems that would be a really good thing. And that the idea that COVID was a tragedy and didn't have a silver lining is probably not a good way of looking at it.
You know, it's funny that you bring up COVID and not a silver lining, but in some ways it does have a silver lining, because it's getting the world to work together and
Sure.
forcing people to work together. Something that I don't think we've been able to do 100% globally until now. Not that it's 100%, but you know, we're heading in that positive direction.
Yeah, well, thanks for those thoughts, Barbara. I'd like to pass it back to Nina, and she has some final thoughts.
Thank you, Barbara, for being our guest today. Thank you, everyone interviewing us. Thank you. And this was very informative conversation. I'm happy, and I'm sure that our audience will enjoy it too, and learn a lot of aspects from a professional career and also social media presence, and a lot more. I've noticed that every time I watch again and again, I learn new things from old conversations. And everyone who is watching us, thank you. Don't forget to subscribe to our OnEBoard channel for our next interviews, for our creative series and how-to tutorials. And we're also doing an OnEBoard chat on Sundays. And also follow Barbara from the links below the video in the description. Our next interview is in April, so subscribe, and don't forget also to turn the notification bell on. Okay, that's all for now. Thank you, everyone, and see you soon.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Goodbye.